You are listening to the CittaCalcioUsa show, the only news and podcast in English about AS Cittadella. CittaCalcioUsa show episode number 135 coming to on Monday, July 29th. More Cittadella preseason action coming to from Lavarone. Two more wins for Cittadella against Virtus Verona and AC Este. Two wins, and Festa del Tifoso has happened in Lavarone as well. Over 500 fans came there. So we have a lot to talk about. We have transfer news. We Pitarello leaving, possibly new transfers coming in. So to help us, we're very happy to have him. We've had multiple journalists from the Cittadella press conference come, like Diego Zilio. We've had Carlo Cicino. And now, welcome Enrico Leo from PadovaOggi. Enrico, how are you?
Yeah, hello, man. My pleasure to stay here. Thank you very much for the invitation.
That's great. Yeah, we've been, I know I told you we've been trying to get this for a while, but it's finally happened. And so I'm making my way around the press conference. So we've had Diego, we've had Carlo, we've now had you, and maybe one day, who knows, maybe one day Gorini will join this podcast.
But Gorini speaks very well in English. Because
yes, I know. When I met him on the field briefly, he did say a few words to me and thanking me for being there. But anyway, thank you, Enrico, once again for joining this podcast. Before we start, just can you just introduce yourself a little bit more? You said you work for PadovaOggi. How long have you been covering Cittadella, and what do you mostly write about?
I'm covering Cittadella since 2021, and I cover Cittadella also for Gazzetta dello Sport since 2022. So I write a lot of seasons about Cittadella, and I'm keen on this reality about this incredible team with Marchetti on direction or sport direction, Gorini on the training, by trainer, and a lot of incredible people before a football player, because in Cittadella the difference are made by the people, are made by not only the football player, but a lot of people around the team. So the Cittadella is the most bigger miracle in the Italian football. So for me, every time is an emotion to talk about Granata.
I agree, and it's been preseason has started for almost, I think, 2 weeks now, or roughly.
Yeah.
But I've unfortunately here in the United States, I haven't been able to watch any of the games. I haven't been able to really see anything besides a few highlights and a few photos. But I'm very happy to have you, because you said you went to Lavarone actually yesterday. I don't know if you've seen the other games, but you've been able to, see the team. You've been able to, see the new signings. So I'm going to ask you, how's Lavarone been? How was yesterday the Festa del Tifoso? I heard there was over 500 fans that made the trip from Veneto. So how was that yesterday and the previous games as well?
Yeah, I still have in my house the fun celebrations on Sunday. I really crowd bath in the sign of Granata Pride, with more than 500, 600 fans present in Lavarone to celebrate this team in its 9th consecutive year in Serie B, the 18th overall, counting the years for last return to the category in 2007. As far as test matches are concerned, now we are at around 4 wins out of 4. And this aspect does not make Gorini and the staff very happy, and that's of the absence in the first week in training camp of key players such as Branca, Bohol, but also Pandolfi, Cassano, and many others. For example, yesterday, on the match of victorious comeback against Virtus Verona, players such as Salvi, Branca, new acquisition, Tronchin, Pandolfi, Maestrello, Cassano, who came out battered from the match a week ago against Alpecimbra, training on the field adjacent to the main one where the match was being played. For example, in Cassano, in the week, just going to work on the planes with the appropriate physiotherapy and medical treatment with Branca and Pandolfi, for example. And the 3 guys returning to the work on the field already this morning on the Bertoldi field in Lavarone for the first training on the season. Well, Lavarone, I repeat, is the site of Cittadella training camp. So having made this premise, which also emphasized a lot by Gorini in the post-Virtus Verona interview, in which he remarked how he hopes to have the full group to work with as soon as possible, because I can say that Cittadella has made a nice clear path so far in Trentino, always managing to come out on the top in the difficulties of the match in question. So if you wanted to talk about the matches, Jake, if you want to start, because the first match was was very rich of the goal. Last Sunday, for example, 21 goals at Cimbra, so 1 more goal than last year at the same test. The program is the usually familiar ones, like Maestrello, Magrassi, and Carriero have scored 4 goals. Baldini and Vita 2 goals. Have scored 2 Angeli and Amatucci, and the new entry, Casolari and D'Alessio, also went in goal, and for D'Alessio 1 assist too. Let's be clear, Cimbra plays in the penultimate Italian category. So,
that's what I was saying. Like I mentioned this in my last podcast. Like yes, Cittadella did score a lot of goals, but it's also like I never get like these big, like you see in the media sometimes, like Bayern Munich beat this team 15-0. It's like, of course they did, because they're playing a team, not a professional team. So it's not a surprise.
Cittadella was improved since last year, because last year, for example, the first half was 8-0. So in this year, for example, 10-0. And finally scored one more goal than last year. So it's a good indication. Well, very, very shy, very, very not indicative, but maybe it's a good auspicious about for the next season. 3 days later, about this vendemmia of the goal with a lot of goals, where was another friendly match against Real Vicenza, a team of unemployed and contract-seeking players in the province of Vicenza. We have a great history, because in this team he plays Malik Rijkaard. Do you remember this surname? Because
I do not.
Yeah, because it's the nephew of Frank Rijkaard. Who does not remember who is Frank Rijkaard, was a historic midfielder for Sacchi Capello's Milan of the Invincible, and the Milan who was won 2 Champions League in 1989 and 99. And Frank Rijkaard was author of the very heavy goals in his career, for example, in the finals of Coppa dei Campioni, Champions League in the 90, for example, at the Prater in Vienna, with the Rossoneri defeated Benfica, or in the same year the double goals in the Intercontinental Cup. So now the Club World Cup against Olimpia d'Asunción, so was a very big name of European, and was for world football, international football. So against the Real Vicenza, the workloads of preparation were felt so much so that we are just only 3 goals. Although during the match, for example, the first goal was scored by the Crystal Talent. So, but it's not my copyright about this name, but Andrea Magrassi copyright. So, for the nickname, Jacopo De Zogus stood out the penalty, and was the author of the first goal of the match on penalty. And we have the 1-2 at the beginning of the second half, signed by Maestrello and Magrassi. Magrassi, we have a particularity. In these first 4 games, Magrassi have scored in every match. So maybe it was a good auspicious for the season for Magrassi too. Well, a lot of voices of the social market to transfer, not in Cittadella but in Serie C. But it's another story maybe we talk about him in market situation, or maybe in other talks. So the match of Friday, the bar was raised against Este, a Serie D team from the province of Padua, so a little derby. So, and this is definitely a bigger match than Real Vicenza, with a most of level, and Este have a lot of definitely ambitious and hedger to do well in this championship. With in this team 2 ex-Granata players on the field, such Caccin, 8 appearances with Cittadella in Serie B in 2007, 2008, and other 2 appearances in Coppa Italia in the same season. And Dalla Bernardina, defender, added 33 minutes. I don't remember in which edition of Coppa Italia. I remember in 2020, 2021. So, okay, the Goro team did not make a dent, winning 6-0, scoring 5 goals in 22 minutes in the first half, between 8 minutes and 30. Protagonists this match are also Matucci with double goal, Magrassi, Baldini, and De Sogus, among De Sogus, for example, among the most prominent in his first phase. A match without too much of history, because ended 6-0 just with the goal of the former Gubbio player De Sogus at the beginning in the second half, and in all, a good test, because we have taken into account the absence mentioned above, in the first phase. So now we just arrived to the last matches on Sunday against Verona, professional
the main event.
Team. The main event, a professional team of the Serie C Girone A, the grouping of the third Italian professional league, where, for example, to be clear, there are also Padova or Vicenza or Triestina played. For example, in the first half, Città did quite well, with De Sogus sitting the crossbar, Baldini close to the net just before a big occasion in the 8th minute. But at the moment when Cittadella went under with Kaya's goal in 18 minutes, if I remember quite and well, and the occasion of the goal, the defense being surprised by a long throw from behind, and Pavan being quite soft to the contrast. So for the honestly with Verona player, Città suffered lots against Virtus Verona in this phase. Took midfield and risked conceding goal in other minutes from Zarpellon, a very good right back, with a lot of fantasy, and Manfrin, the left wing. For goodness sake, Magrassi could have equalized an occasion to equalize the matches, but at the end it was not very good. But finally, in the second half, Magrassi scored an incredible goal, like Insigne style. Okay, like with a very incredible strike in Italian say tiro a giro like Insigne style. So like that. And in the second half, for example, with Gibril, the class 20 and 6, the last pair of the out sector of Cittadella coming on the field in the middle in the place of Casolari, the team did better. So the Magrassi equalizing goal with a really beautiful shot. Vita signed overtake on an assist from the left by another new entry of the team, Masciangelo. And then again, the former Palermo and Benevento fullback signed the third goal of the match from a free kick from the edge. And the third goal was scored by a very young player, Zanotelli. Zanotelli had a story incredible, but only a few months, an amateur striker of the fifth league, so Dilettantes category, of Vittorio Falmec, is a team from the town of near of Treviso. The name is Vittorio Veneto. Vittorio Veneto is very famous for historic sense, because it was firm a pact of the peace for the first in the First World War, for example. But is too famous, for example, to Prosecco, was the land of burn the Prosecco, and Zanotelli made an incredible goal with a headshot in the corner in the corner action with Carriero assist. So at the moment, in short, we have seen a lot of Cittadella in these first 4 outings, despite the fact, in my opinion, we are in the work in progress, because it's incredibly lookable at the physical and tactical level for Gorini's team, which, as mentioned in the absence, still has to integrate a lot of many players into the rotation. And I think in this week we will go to answer. I think that we improved the rhythm, we improved the intensity, and probably on Wednesday we are be the last match in the Lavarone retreat against Legnago, the same category and grouping as Virtus Verona, and probably we will see the various Branca recovered from pneumonia that made the first in this day after 12 days of training. Tronkin. Well, I don't know if Pandolfi maybe play against Legnago because still struggling with shoulder surgery recovery, but from the medical news, but we should be ready for the first league game in Salerno against Salernitana. And Saturday, the team is back to Cittadella on the afternoon on August 3. There will be a friendly match against Bassano, a Serie D team very close geographically to Cittadella, to test the condition, because after 1 week we have at least Coppa Italia time against Sassuolo, and this is very important test and very important match to keep the sensation about the team.
Yeah, that Sassuolo game is actually 11 days away currently, as the 29th on Monday. So it's rapidly coming up, and that Salernitana game is the following week, and we still don't know any TV deals and where we're going to watch the game, but we'll get into that a little later. But I wanted to thank you once again for that summary of those 4 games. It's been you know, I haven't been able to watch any of the games, so it's really nice. Good to see that you know, the team is still, like you said, a work in progress, but there's still a lot of positives to take away. You know, from what you said, I could probably tell that the Sogos has been very impressive early on. You know, Magrassi's been scoring goals, but you know, my biggest question, you know, thing that I'm just so interested to see in the start of the season, and we kind of like had this question. We've been asking this question for the last months: is what formation will Guarini put out in the first few matches? What will he start with? Because if you remember last season, after that 8-game losing streak, the game where I was at, unfortunately, for the game against Pisa, that the 8th straight loss, Guarini changed formation from the 4-3-1-2 to the 3-5-2. So in the 3 in the back, that kind of stopped the losing streak, but it also limited the attacking phase. So you didn't see much from Pandolfi or Pitarello, the goal scoring. So I'm very curious to see what Guarini will do, because will he start with the 3 in the back? Because Cittadella did sign some, you know, natural wingers in a sense. You know, you got De Sogos and Delisio could play on the wing, and then maybe even Massangelo could play even higher up on the left. So what do you see Guarini will be doing, and what has he been really playing in this in Lavarone, and what do you predictions as formation?
At the tactical level, in these early outings, everything seems to be going towards in the reproposition to 4-3-1-2. Is the Cittadella's trademark for almost 50 years. So first with Foscarini and then with Venturato. I think that the 3-5-2 of last season final, sometime also buried in 3-4-2-1, for example, in the decisive salvation victory in Reggio Emilia signed by Branca and Pandolfi, was a necessity to give more defensive solidity in the period of the 2-8 defeats in a row. Now no one wants to imagine another such tough period. Ergo, the three defensive player, I thought would be more correct to say five team defensive player. I know. I think to return to be a tactical alternative and no longer the first choice in the ideas of Gora and his staff. The players arriving from the market are for the 4-3-1-2, but also say before because D'Alessio and the Sogus can cover more position. For example, and Mastrangelo, like you talked to, be able to full back in a 4 line as well as an outside in a 5 line. So it depends. In addition, for the 4-3-1-2, for example, same bit of the Sogus or Baldini in this beginning of preparation, I would say that we have another alternative like 4-3-1-2 or 3-5-2. I listen the intervention, for example, about Diego in the last episode of a podcast to say that the 4-3-2-1, the Albero di Natale, the Christmas tree, very famous with Ancelotti, could also be dusted off on more than a few occasions because it's a system of play that Cittadella knows very well, and we have a lot of players with such as these characteristics, for example, the Sogus, Baldini, but also Vita, Claudio Cassano. We just remember because Cassano is very, very important players. Yeah, and in my opinion, in my modest opinion, Pandolfi showed the best things when he's the only forward compared to pair with Pitarello forming the famous Pipa pairing, but it's only my opinion. So in my opinion, we go to the 4-3-1-2 because is the perfect dress for this team. So maybe in just in case in a more difficult team, I don't know, even against Sampdoria or Palermo or Sassuolo, maybe will we just look the defense three, but in my opinion, Marchetti wasn't very happy to Cittadella use the 5-3-2 or 3-5-2 for the Perbanista people. So I don't know. In my opinion, Gorini continues to 5-3-1-2, but when you speak with Gorini, every time he tells about a liquid team in terms of offensive position on the field, but with this fluidity of positioning on the pitch was also seen defense. Because, for example, with Pavan often flanking Branca in relaunching and creating play, Amatucci supporting on the left center, and Vita putting himself on the same line of the trequartista, who was Cassano, who was Baldini, and with the defensive flanks occupying the field in width. So I believe the idea of spatial occupation of the field will remain the same. Then there are in my opinion, we have three fundamental key of upcoming season, and one is the defensive terms, another is on the midfield terms, and another one is by the attacks. But for the attacks, it depends about calciomercato, about the football market, because now Pitarello was living in Catanzaro, and now we have an empty spaces in this repart of the roster. So we just attending about that.
Yeah, that's you mentioned Pitarello at the end. That's a good segment into our kind of the next thing I kind of want to talk about, which is the transfer market. But yeah, that's I think I agree. I think Gorini will go back to the 4-3-1-2. As you know, that's the Cittadella model that they've been playing for years. Like you said, under Foscarini and Venturato. So I think that's 3-5-2, like you mentioned perfectly, just to stop the bleeding, stop the losses, and give a little more defensive stability, even though it kind of limited the attack, and that's why you kind of stopped seeing those goals from Pandolfi, Pitarello, Cassano, and all that. So that was definitely a girone di andata to forget. Ritorno to forget.
Ritorno forget, yeah.
That's when I was after that Palermo game, like I couldn't imagine, like by the time I'd get to the match against Pisa, I couldn't even imagine they would be losing 8 in a row. I still can't believe that have happened, but that's in the past now. That's only looking forward to the new season.
Yeah, well, I look in the new season. Well, for me, the first most important choice as the team and its skeleton has not changed much. Gorini, as long as far, is the longest time coach at the helm of Serie B team, and demonstrating that the technical continuity at Cittadella is a found value in the social ideas of Stefano Marchetti that was as machina of the club for practically 20 years at Sombolato. So the last Girone di Ritorno was in the thoughts of every fans. It's true, but but even talk with Bita or even talk with Carissoni or Magrassi in the future days. We just seen we see the interviews about this player. Every player said me that okay, the last season is an history. Now we just start with another page, with another empty page, and we just try to write something. It's very, very important. Just try to keep the salvation for the first choice, and before the salvation, well, we just keep to try to fun, to try to keep another big objective. So. And so, in addition to usual price for Marchetti's work, for me it would be time to emphasize also those to the coach, because Eduardo Gorini is appropriate to say is an incredible coach, because he was a very empathic and very enthusiastic, and every year Marchetti keeps him on the rope. Renewing this contract only at the end of championship and only for 1 year. Perhaps it will be the right method to use for coaches, but well, we put out some drawbacks in the other situation. My first impression of the team are the usual. It will be look a very aggressive Cittadella, the team devoted to running, super offensive pressure, aim to recovering the ball already in the post and half on the field, and who was dedicated a lot to instant verticalization of the forwards. Really, the ghosts of the horrible 2004 turnaround with 30 or 14 points. I don't remember, 30 points in just 19 games, I think are beyond us. So needless to hide it in the era of Cittadella, but there are still of disappointment. It's true.
Yeah. Well,
but,
like you said, it's it's a new start. That there's nothing you could do about it. It's they avoid staying up even after that horrible nightmare Girone di Ritorno. But that's important. So now it's a new start, and hopefully they could get back to winning ways. So I wanted to. Last podcast, I was mentioning that Pitarello to Catanzaro, it was basically a done deal, but now it is officially a done deal.
Yeah.
I'm still so confused on this this trattativa. It's like if I read it correctly, it's a 3-year contract, but it's also a loan. So Cittadella could get it back. So can you explain that real quick, like simple terms?
No. Pitarello's departure was widely expected in Cittadella's logic. The contract was for 3 years for Il Pizza. For Pizza and Catanzaro offers, there is token of nearly 1 million euros in Cittadella's coffers, and it's too much of plus balance and deal economically. So was right to make for Pitarello at Catanzaro, and Pitarello will earn 3 times what he was getting at Cittadella, and now for him will prove himself at the age of 28 in a square hungry for great soccer and aspiring for Serie A. So maybe I just give a correct answer for your question.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, because it was like I did not see the titolo definitivo, which was like a done deal.
Is prestito, is loan, his loan with mass rescat, with mass request the acquisition before the first appearances. So this one for Pittarello. Of course, Jake, you will say, why didn't Pittarello to make history with Cittadella? This is another big question, because in Cittadella too, we are very angry to see great soccer. We have the dream of Serie A. It's very simple. Soccer players are professionals with very short careers, and people's desire has always been to get into Serie A. Right now, for him, Catanzaro, it's sad to say, but Catanzaro seems like a better option. And well, it was right to let him go to Calabria, and Cittadella was able to restart after the disposals of Ardemagni, for example, Pio Vaccari or Coralli, Joe, or the end of Moncini's loan. Maybe you remember the experience of Moncini on Tombolato. All people in double figures or more. So it will be able to restart even without Pittarello. Yes, it's probably protagonist of season of 6 goals, 3 assists, 9 posts. But now the question for me is another: how does one replace people in the team building logic to Cittadella? This is a very big question for me.
That's what I was just about, to get into. But one more thing about Pittarello is I think one of the other reasons that Cittadella didn't end up selling Pittarello because that offer was good. Like you said, Cittadella almost gets €1 million, roughly around, but that's still a lot. Pittarello, I believe his contract in Cittadella was going to be up next season. So if Pittarello did end up staying, Cittadella could have lost Pittarello for free next season. So
not next season. No, next season lost for free. Pittarello have the contract since 2026 with Cittadella. So we have another 2, not for free for next year. So now this is the precision, only that one.
Okay, well, anyway, the Cittadella do still ends up getting a big load of cash which could be played, which could be spent on some replacements, which was the thing. The rumors in the recent weeks was Ismail Ashik from Bari, but I think that has kind of died down, and I don't think Bari has had an agreement yet.
No, Ashik, midfielder from Bari, the Fantasista from Bari, is different player. It sounds like the Zogus player, or like Baldini, very, very technical with a lot of magician on the boots. So it's different, Ashik. Well, maybe to imagine to replace Pittarello, maybe one good name is Mario Ravasio. Mario Ravasio sounds plays. Yeah, Lucchese. This is the property of Lucchese, but in the last season was playing on loan in Sorrento in Serie C, Girone C, and the southern of Italy league of third categories. So I'm very surprised about this name, because for the number, the guy has better scoring number, for example, than Pita when he arrived last season at Tombolato. If arrives Ravasio, it would be a very interesting purchase, and the one that deserves a lot of attention, because Ravasio is a modern center forward, 26 years old, very well structured physically, and that Sorrento showed off that is a complete striker, able to score from the right, from the left, outside and inside to the penalty area. In short, Ravasio is an associative player going forward, who can partner with Pandolfi as well, or as the Zogus, or act as a central forward of reference in an attack in place with 2 number 10s behind him, like Vita or Cassano. So Ravasio, we just opened a lot of window about tactical imagination, tactical position. So we just let in about Ravasio. Now the trattativa was in very, very near to complete, but we have a little bit difficulty about that, because Ravasio is already given to okay to arrive at Cittadella. Now everything depends about two choices. The first one is agents, because we are very tempted by the offers from Catania and Entella. The second choice is the poor Andrea Magrassi. Andrea Magrassi scored in every preseason game. Marchetti will also like to include him in exchange from Lucchese, but Lucchese is very interested too. But we have a little big problem, because Magrassi was father for the second times in last phase of March or in the first day of April. I'm sorry, I don't remember in this moment. And the family factor could also weigh on the negotiation, because if you have a baby in a few months ago and then you move, it is never easy to make this decision, because you have your wife, you have another baby who have 9 years old, and he play in the youth sector of Cittadella, Magrassi's son. So just we'll see in the coming day what happens. And we have another name very, very hot to Cittadella's negotiation, Jan Zuberek. He was born in 2004. I'm sorry, in Poland, and is the property of Inter of Milan. But in Ternana past season, we are just seeing a glimpses of crack strikes. So he also another very physically strong player, and well, it could be very good for usual under 22 quotes. So when I talked with Marchetti about that, it was very possibilistic. So we just attending about this negotiation.
Yeah, that's like you said, it would be a typical Cittadella move for like a under 22 player like Jan Zuberek. But yeah, Ravasio is one to be keeping an eye out on in these next few weeks, I imagine, from Lucchese.
Or in the next days, maybe. Or in the next day, maybe it's possible, because it's too hot the negotiation in this moment. As soon as possible to close the negotiation. I don't know if not only Cittadella are also interested by Ravasio, but is it possible to close? Yeah, we just see. But Ravasio is another name of typical trademarks Cittadella. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Totally.
But yeah, that's Guarini did say, I did see in the interview, I believe it was from your article on PadovaOggi, that a change is coming and a substitute is coming for Pitarello. That's what Guarini said. And so we'll have to see in these next few days, or before the market ends at the end of August, to see what that change is been. But any changes in the squad, or any improvements you think after watching Cittadella for seeing these last few games? Any changes you think that needs to be improved? I think they've signed a lot of midfielders like De Sogus, Casolari, Tronkin, Delicio. But any things you'd like to see improving in the squad, like any position?
Yeah, but for me, the team has not changed much. I repeat this one because my first impression of the team are usual. About the new signs, about the new entry, staying on the 5 variables from the market, Masciangelo is the most famous, and the former of Palermo and Benevento left back will take Girado's place. But it could also be the starter, because even in a 4-man defensive line, Carissoni performs better on the right. But on the right, we have Salvi too. So Masciangelo's knowledge of the category will serve to this team well, because the average of Cittadella's signings is 20,2, very, very young. and with Masciangelo, the best known to the general public in B, with 20 years of age. Otherwise, it would be have a lower. For about the other four signs, for example, to Federico Casolari, 21, last season played very well in Gubbio on loan, but owned by Sassuolo. Is a midfielder with Marchetti that should be put himself in front of the fence and study from captain Simone Branca how to stand on the field in Cittadella style. Because, for example, yesterday he lost 2-3 balls, very, very dangerous, in very, very dangerous zone of the middle field, defensive zone of the pitch. So he's a good fit because he is very, very technical, but needs to grow physically. And this is a fundamental, always a bit light by heavy metal standards of Cittadella's game. And well, for me, the most listened to try to move on the pitch, to move on in 11 titular, maybe is Simone Tronchina from Vicenza. Simone Tronchina is youngster, but arrives after 2 halfback with a great, with a very standout season between Virtus Verona and Vicenza in Serie C, where he was appreciated as a back with a great physicality and running, and in his typical Cittadella style. Of course, Serie B is another thing about the levels: technical, physical, and tactical. But among the 4 young men, a personal feeling, he seems the most ready, because he has already faced the pressure of places very, 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 very big like Vicenza, and will be useful a player because it makes a lot of intensity on the pitch and dynamism in his hallmark. D'Alessio too is a good player because, for example, was very famous in the last October fight because making his debut with Roma with Mourinho. No, I think you are just read about his story, and
Yes.
well. And D'Alessio, in addition to playing in the middle of the field, can play in right fullback or in outside fullback too. So, for example, with D'Alessio, you should be back to return to 3-5-2 system. So, it's just a very, very polyhedric player. And in this first friendless game, for example, against Real Vicenza, was played in defense of D'Alessio with right back. So with right back wing defensive. So we're just attending, and for me, for example, the major curiosity I had for the Zogus, because for me it's perhaps the name that's intrigue is the most in a purely technical sense, because it was already seen he has a dribbling in his blood, chance over the direct opponent with a lot of easier, with a great opens, with great ease. And I see, for example, we have a just big sense of the goal. So, and for me, we just connect very, very well with quality squads of Cittadella. So Baldini, Cassano, Alessio Vita. So if as a result his physical problems, because last season he lost middle of season about pubalgia problems, for example, you have the results. If you have the result, this is problem. Maybe we have jewels on the roster. So we just can attend about him. But in this first game, he played very well and he played very naturally in the Cittadella system. So that's very important for him, and for me it's important to Gorini too, because the quality in Cittadella. In the last year, for me, the problems are not only the 8 defeats, but a very poor quality in the roster. So the Zogus for me was very important to have these quotes and to try to speak the same football language with most technical players, and the technical players resolve the matches with the one only players, for example, for a free kick or with an invention in the area. So for me, the Zogus have a lot of choice to demonstrate its value in Cittadella's panorama.
Yeah, and there's, like you said, it's a lot of young signings with this team, kind of like similar to last season where they signed Cassano, Kornvik, Rizza, Sotini, kind of another similar kind of younger signings. But it's also good that Cittadella still has a lot of core players that has been here for a lot of seasons now. I'm thinking Branca, Vita, Castrati, Frare, Vita. I think I already said Vita. Anyway, but it's good to have those core players.
But Marchetti is trying to recreate a younger hardcore to flank in the locker room leaders like Branca or Vita or Frare or Bardini, Salve Maniera. Nothing new at this latitude. So as long as last one or two of the new arrivals can succeed in establishing themselves in the highest level right way, somewhat as Carissoni last season, or Amatucci, or Negro, for example, for an out season Claudio Cassano did last year, the goal has always had to save the sums quickly and maintain the category. For the rest, we'll see what happens, but sounds good like you have talked about that, because in my opinion Marchetti's idea is trying to recreate this younger core with Sottini, with Rizza. Rizza is a very strange story because Gorini was very convinced about left wing from Empoli, and he passed a lot of time who was Rizza like a mysterious object. And now since February Rizza start to play, but if you look with the very attention, you have just seen with very attention the matches of Cittadella in the left wing. When Rizza stays on the pitch, we suffered too much because it was more good, more better in offensive properly, not in defensive way. So Rizza must improve to defensive way, to defensive actuation, and maybe if improving this about this tactical, about these choices, maybe Gorini would be considered too much the unfortunately Rizza, because now Rizza we just start just one pass after than Masciangelo, for example.
Yeah, it's interesting because Rizza didn't play much for the first part of the season, and then he did get a lot of minutes towards the end. So I think I agree. I think Masciangelo will start from the get-go, but it's good to have rotation because it is a very long season. But kind of moving into this last part of the podcast a little, I want to talk, like I said, 11 days to go until Cittadella's first competitive match against Sassuolo. We're still, Tombolato still under construction, but it is looking progress. Have you been able to go to the Tombolato and see how is it coming along in these last few days?
For the year will be the Tombolato completely renovation that will be bring the field closer to the stand where Cittadella also fans such as the Rabaltai or Salp are located, a renovated stadium with the field brought closer to the east stand, then of the Granata fans, and the relocation of the light system to a new top of the latest generation. And the feeling that is only the first step to maintain and to innovate a club that over the course of this year continues to prove to to that without spending and spreading. How this is possible? For example, Michelini, the amministratore delegato Mauro Michelini, the great director of the stadium project, said enlarged from the stage of the term presentation from July 19, stating that the first step is being completed now and concerns the complete resurfacing of the pitch, and already from the match against Pisa on 27 August, Cittadella fans will be able to see their favorites up close. So it's the first step to improve the Tombolato is complete. And now we just open another window because in the coming months, the company, the Cittadella, said it will propose another improvement proposals for the stadium. The goal, in my opinion, is to get full management of the facility and turn it a little gem in the style English or American stadiums. So with a stadium was used 7 day by 7 day, 7 day by 7, and usable every day beyond the match 7. For me, this is the big and the great challenge of Cittadella's future, because keeping its feet firmly planted on the ground, yes, but for me, I believe this is the beauty of Cittadella that will be amazing. We have the stadium, the little bit gems of the stadium, who was the population, and was the town will believe in every part and in every moment of the day and in the week and in the month of the future.
Yeah, it's exciting times, and they've been Gabriele has been talking about renovations for a long time, but it is finally good to see them getting to work. And I'm gonna miss it because after this renovation, I don't think. I mean, maybe who knows? But prior to this renovation, even like when I went in March, I was able to go to the stadium freely.
Yeah.
I walked around the track the day before the game. It was free really to the public, but I don't know how available it will be to the general public after this.
You must return here, Jake, because with the new Tribuna Est near to the pitch, come on, well, probably was something to magic to see the match from here.
Yeah, I know, and hopefully next time I come for a win, and it's not going to be an 8 straight loss.
The result is important, but it's not the more big thing. So
exactly.
The most important is the fun. Exactly. To pass a very good time with Rabaltai or Salt.
Oh yes, and have lots of cappuccino in the morning with my brioche.
But not before the 11. Say Bernardeschi today in the video.
I made sure that didn't happen. I was very prompt with that. But one more thing before we go is that the TV deals are still not done for Serie B. We still don't know where we're going to watch it. DAZN and Sky are leading this race for the project. So in the next few days, I think we should be able to have some more news about that. But at the same time, it's still frustrating to know.
I don't know because the Serie B starts with the television direct or not. So this is the only news very surely about that. So we just attend because the offers of Sky are very low, are not good for the presidents, for the Serie B's presidents. So we just attending. In a couple of days, will be announced a new Assemblea Generale to discuss the TV shows. So we just attending. I don't know much about that, but in my opinion, well, maybe it's Sky to lead now the race, but I don't know, because DAZN, DAZN didn't pass a very good moment in his history about economic situation, but just in France have surprised a lot with bought the television rights of the Ligue 1. So I don't know if in the Serie B probably keep the same coup de théâtre, and maybe we just image about that. For now, we just attending. Maybe is a possibility to won't have the television shows, the television matches for the first leg of the season. This is most probably choice in this moment for the Serie B. Is a little, well, we are in Italy. It's very typical about that because we are not very organized very well, but I think that in a couple of days we just encountered a solution because Serie B is the second league most viewed in Italy, and for me it's important to fans and to passionate to have the possibility to look a great show, a great matches like Serie B.
Yeah, well, hopefully something gets resolved in the next few days, few weeks. I did see, at least here in the United States, Serie A is the CBS Sports, which is the main platform for Serie A here in the United States, did renew, and so that probably means that Coppa Italia games will be shown there as well. So at least it looks like I will be able to at least watch the Sassuolo game on August 9th. But we'll still have to wait for the Serie B. But anyway, that's kind of all I have to. That's all I kind of had planned for this podcast. Enrico, do you have anything else to add that you want to add about this current news for Cittadella? Or
from Cittadella, nothing. The most important news is the stadium, and from Ravasio and Zuberek are the two very most hottest news information. Ravasio, we have just the negotiation very, 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 very early and very, very near to close the negotiation, but we just attend these two choices I have explained, one about the agents, another one about Magrassi's situation, was in exit strategy for the Cittadella, but we have the patience about that. Now in Serie B we have a big situation like Sampdoria. I know if you ever read something about economic situation of Sampdoria, and Sampdoria has the debt restructuring plan provided by the Italian state, but so now we have a dubious interpretation, and Sampdoria gives and it's a reading and feels comfortable rule making market not in according of this interpretation of the Italian Football Federation, and not in according to the debit restructuring plan. So, for example, Romagnoli loan, or for example Massimo Coda, or another one big new entry of Sampdoria, we are just in doubt. Maybe we'll doubt. Tomorrow, on Thursday, no, not tomorrow, and on 1st July, so Wednesday, there is a time to make a transaction and then to executive advisors which are constantly suspend or not the transfer of these players. So if the advisors don't arrive and therefore the membership are rejected, the regulations say that for each rejected membership there is one penalty point for Sampdoria. So obviously, if this case were to happen, the players from the rejected membership will return to base. So imagine to Coda return to Cremonese, or Romagnoli return to Frosinone. Now we just talking for Sampdoria to Tutino. Very, very near Sampdoria, for example, for the football market, for Calcio Mercato, but now for Tutino we have just this doubt. So the situation of Sampdoria is important to monitoring, because it's not we have a lot of doubt, and we hang to acts of penalty related.
Yeah, and it's we can't get just a normal calm summer of Serie B. It's always something always happens, whether it's the
Yeah,
TV reel or last season with the Lecco and Regina situation.
But in this year was just very tranquility. Only now we have this tricky situation with Sampdoria. Respected than other campaigns or other season. Well, sounds good. Now this is only penalty of the league. Come on.
I guess so.
Juventus stayed in Serie A with lots of problems, very big problems with cross-balance and with economics falls on the debt. So we are very particular. We are a very strange state, Jake. In Italy, everything is possible. So now we're just attending about Sampdoria, and maybe.
I think it'll be resolved in the next few days, hopefully. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of all I have to add. Once again, thank you, Enrico, for being on this podcast, and I will definitely have you on probably later in the season. Hopefully when Cittadella is in the playoff zone like they were last season for much of it. But thank you once again. If you could tell everyone where they could find you on social media or, what you do with PadovaOggi.
Well, we just read it on PadovaOggi or in Gazzetta dello Sport. On Twitter, I am Enrico Leo. Very, very simple. And on Instagram, I'm Nelio1969 because it's one of my most favorite player on an ancient edition of Football Manager. In the epoch, the name was Scudetto, and Nelio was a fantastic midfielder from Flamengo and one of my heroes of football. So my nickname on Instagram is Nelio1969. So, Jake, my pleasure to this intervention. Sorry for my bad English, but I just try to talk about Cittadella with passion and with everything I know. So for me, it was a very guilty pleasure. Thank you very much, Jake, for this opportunity.
Yeah, please do not worry about the English. Like I've said multiple times, it's you speak much better English than I speak Italian. So yeah. I mean, as long as you're trying,
maybe next time in Spanish. Okay.
Yeah, we never know. We never know. Thank you, Enrico, for joining. Thank you for everyone to listening on this show. Please follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CittaCalcioUsa and visit our website at CittaCalcioUsa.com for more information, news articles, all that stuff about Cittadella. For me and Enrico, thank you for listening. We will see you next week. And as always, Forza Citta. Thank you for listening to the CittaCalcioUsa show. If you liked it, please share and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CittaCalcioUsa. See you next time, and remember, Forza Citta.